both my parents were they were very liberal because they never got married. My mother had me at 18, and my father, they got together, and they moved in 2 weeks after they met. So, and then I happened, and it was too hard for my parents. It was very hard growing up. My parents, they never got married because they realized, I'm glad now, because since their relationship was not love, and they ended up being together for 4 years to try to protect me, to keep together. They tried to get married, but in a sense it made me grow up not believing in marriage. I never believed in marriage. I believed in career and being strong and taking care of myself and being independent. And now that I'm getting involved, then I'm getting older and getting involved with men, now I'm realizing that I want men. I would like to have a family life that I never had. I'm an only child. And it's made me think, well, look, I'll be around for a few years, but that's it. I never thought that they'd actually be around, and I never believed in having children because I wasn't raised that way. My mother, she went to school, put herself through school, did everything by herself. So I have to go back, and I don't know if the way I was raised was a negative or a positive aspect of my life, but it's made me very independent, and to where if I get married with a man, I have to be successful with myself, and I have to love myself. And so that's the only way that I can do anything.
Were you raised by your mother?
Yes, until I was 13, and then I was raised by my father.
Yeah, I get to say about 2 to 3 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
How has this played into you, into your views into your relationships? Have you picked up some subconscious habits from your upbringing?
Yes, I have. I didn't realize until now that I'm older. I never saved sex. I believed in, that I wasn't going to save myself for marriage, obviously, because my parents never got married, so I'm like, screw it. But in the end, that ended up catching up with me, and my self-esteem dropped. And I wish it could have been different. Sexually, since my mother went through several boyfriends after my father, and so sexually I didn't think that I made a lot of women that saved themselves for the man that they love or saved themselves for marriage, and I never was raised that way. So when I gave myself or had sex, it was just like, well, this person's only going to be around for a little while, and this person isn't going to be around for that long. And I realized later that it did hurt me. It hurt me a lot, and I had to go back and build my self-esteem up and realize that that's not kind of the intimacy that I want with a man. I want a man who's going to be on the same level as me, intellectually, spiritually, and physically, regarding even sex. I can't have just a one-night stand like I thought I could when I was younger. It's just not right.
Why not? Men love one-night stands. Why are we so different? I mean, for
Not
a man, it would build his self-esteem to have a lot of one-night stands.
I think it depends on the man. I think that's a society-based rule. I've met a lot of men that later on regretted that. I'm in a lot of self-help programs, and I see men when they're 50 and they go back and they're like, damn, I regret doing those days. They mess themselves up later on.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Men think that a bunch of screwing around messed them up.
Actually, I've known that more secure men don't prefer that. They don't prefer one-night stands. That's a way for a man who's insecure to build his ego and to build his self-esteem, is thinking that a lot of women are going to make him, and it's not true. Only he can make it, not the other women.
Would you like to have saved sex for marriage?
Yeah.
You're kidding?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because it probably would have saved me a lot of heartache. Or at least saved myself for one particular man that I loved. Maybe not marriage. I don't believe that premarital sex is bad. But it would have saved me a lot of heartache, at least if I had that belief. Because now it's like I wasted a lot of time with a lot of men that really shouldn't have been there.
Why was it wasted time? Because it just left you feeling empty, yucky, not good about yourself?
And worthless, and there's a lot of feelings of well, damn, if I'm just giving myself away, I might as well get paid for it, One time in my life, I actually understood what a prostitute felt like. I know what it feels like to just feel worthless, and I'm like, shit, at least I can get some kind of financial security out of this, I'm just giving my body away. I actually felt that way. My self-esteem got so low in my teens that I felt that way. I felt like I wasn't getting anything. And then finally, actually, to be honest, I've been celibate for 8 months.
You've been chaste for 8 months. Celibate means a lifetime commitment to
chaste. I don't want to have sex. I gave it up for a while.
Wow.
It's just so I can build myself up again and figure out what I want from a man. A man has got to work for me now. If he wants me, he's got to prove himself to me. Prove that he's worth it.
I'm just taking it in. Thanks.
Well, I believe it goes both ways. Men and women give sex. Both men and women give it up. It's not just the woman. The woman decides, yes, I'm going to do it, and the man decides, yes, I'm good. The man can say no just as easily as a woman can say no. I've had men say no to me. I've had it. It's hard. It hurts my ego. Just like a woman, it hurts. Like, guys, I don't want to have to beg, but I mean, you know, I've been on both sides. I know what it's like coming from a man's standard, and I know what it's like coming from a woman's standard.
But you talked about giving sex and you might
That's
as well
the way
get
I feel
paid.
now. Well, that was back, which part of it? I'm sorry.
You talked about giving sex and feeling, damn, I might as well get paid for it. Men don't talk about giving sex.
Back then I did, yeah. I don't feel that way now.
Well, women talk about, we all talk about women giving and men taking as far as sex is concerned. Why do we talk that way?
Because I back then I didn't know the difference between sex and love. And I wanted a relationship. And that was just my self-esteem. That had nothing to do with the men. That was my self-esteem. That's the way I used to feel. But it wasn't necessarily correct. I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of the way I felt.
What sort of men attracted you in the past, and what type of men attract you today?
The kind of men that were bad. The kind of men that would like... See, I believe I'm taking responsibility for myself. And the better I get with myself, the better men I attract. And the men that I attracted back then were emotionally unavailable. They weren't there. They some of them were after sex, and some of them had other things that they were after. They didn't necessarily. The relationships were very dysfunctional. But I'm not blaming the men. I'm blaming myself for that.
What, you wanted bad boys then? Why? Because they seem so strong?
No.
Where did they get to you? How did they attract you so?
Because I thought, you know, when I didn't have any self-esteem, I thought I could help them. You know, if I could help myself, I could help them, make them better. And now I can't do that. A man is going to change if he wants to change. If he doesn't want to change, you know, that's his life. Now I attract men that are healthier, that want to help themselves. Back then, I wanted to save the world.
Would you like to get married, and if so, when?
Yeah, I would, and I don't know a time limit. I can't tell. I don't know a time limit.
What sort of qualities would you need to find in them? Men and women are changing somehow?
Oh, yes. I think, because back then, in the old days, men were raised to show no emotion, no feeling, in order to be strong, they had to be almost, in a sense, cold. That was the way the society accepted men, and if they cried, it was unacceptable, it was considered weak. But now that therapy is more open, self-help groups are more open, 12-step programs are more open, that men are changing, and men are saying it's okay to cry, it's okay to show feelings, it does not make you weak. The more you show your feelings, the more strength you have and courage you have to show your feelings. And that's where I think times are changing. Society's more open, and women are becoming more and more stronger. Women are going in the roles of men, which is interesting, as now we're getting finally maybe an equal balance.
So we're all just becoming persons, and let's not worry about male-female differences?
Yeah.
Well, do you think there are any male-female differences aside from the plumbing?
Oh yeah, there's lots. But,
such as? And do you dislike these differences?
I think it just varies on the individual. I can't say that in a broad perspective, because everybody's changing at their own time, their own pace, and everybody's raised. I'm sure if I went down south somewhere, I'd see these male chauvinist pigs. You know, back in the old days, the time. But I know the men that I attract in my life now are not like that. But I have attracted. Where I'm at is where usually the men are at.
Be strong when you like him to be soft and tender.
I don't think you could really say a time.
Situations.
Sometimes I can say things, but when it actually happens, I don't want it, so, honestly.
Meaning you'll say that you wish he was softer and tenderer at a particular time and that he would give in to you, but really you wouldn't respect him if he did, and so deep inside you want him to be strong and tough and do the right thing.
Sometimes, like the guy that I'm dating now, we get in a lot of fights and he won't call me for days. And I told him the last fight we got into, I said, I can't put into all